Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
But who is he?
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
And who is he?
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
And what he do?
And it's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Oh.
You watch these guys, and your heart is pounding, your palms are sweating.
Yes, thank you.
Your heart is just fucking pounding. My heart's pounding right now. I'm not even part of this trial. You know, these defense lawyers conducted themselves quite differently than the defense lawyers in the Arbery trial. And just waiting for the verdict just seems like it lasts forever.
All right, members of the jury, have you elected a foreperson? Would you give your juror, please?
54.
54. And has the jury reached a verdict as to each count of the information?
That's correct.
One verdict and one verdict only.
Yes.
Would you hand all the paperwork to the bailiff, please?
That's what you want to do.
Everything. Yeah, thanks.
This is amazing. This is where his life is either one way or the other. Very bad.
The defendant will rise in case the jury determines which verdicts.
Wisconsin versus Kyle Rittenhouse. As the first count of the information, Joseph Rosenbaum. We, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the second count of the information, Richard McGinnis, we, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the third count of the information, unknown male, we, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the fourth count of the information, Anthony Huber, we, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the fifth count of the information, Gage Roscourse, we, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty.
Not guilty across the board.
Members of the jury, these are unanimous verdicts.
Unfucking
Is there anyone who does not agree with the verdicts as read? Would you wish to drink both?
He walks away a free.
Okay, folks, your job is
There's no greater feeling than when you get that result for your client.
And
1 minute he's looking at life, the next minute he walks free.
This is 3 weeks.
Kyle Rittenhouse not guilty on all counts as I predicted. You had a completely different team in Kenosha than you did in Georgia. Completely different team. You watch. The result we're going to get next week in Arby is going to be completely different. The prosecution team in this case kept stepping in pile of dog shit after pile of dog shit after pile of dog shit. And I think the jury's verdict reflects, a good defense and a bad prosecution. And I want you to understand, first and foremost, I come at this from a defense perspective. I analyzed it in terms of the quality of the defense that he received. He received a very high quality defense. And in terms of what his defenses were. And I kind of called it, but it doesn't mean that I support the notion of just grabbing a gun and going out in the streets and shooting people, because I certainly don't. And there's a difference between what's legal and what's moral, that kind of thing. I make no opinion really as to the moral aspect of what was going on. I mean, he did lie about who he was, basically, and what his role was there. He wasn't a paramedic, but he said he was. I don't really support the notion of defending property with, an AR-15. But at the same time, I really have to admire the defense team. They did, and I'm analyzing this more from an academic and technical aspect of the defense. And it does not surprise me that he was acquitted. Number one, this is a gun state. But here's the other thing. I can see both sides of this argument, I could see somebody saying that unreasonable amount of force was used. So if the jury convicted him on one or more counts, I could see them doing that. However, I don't support the invective on both sides. This is our system of justice. The jury has spoken. It should be respected. You know, I'm watching the reactions right outside the courthouse right now, and there's a large cutout of Kyle. It says, "Convict Killer Kyle." I mean, this still is a 17-year-old kid. You know, he's a young kid who just was on trial for his life. So, you know, do I agree? If that was my kid, first of all, I wouldn't let my kid have an AR-15. I just wouldn't, because that's just me. Because when you're 17 years old and you're walking the streets with a gun, shit like this is going to probably happen. But be that as it may, because you want to protect your kids. You want to protect your kids from any kind of bad things happening. And despite the fact that he won this trial, Kyle is never going to be the same again. His life will never be the same again. You got people think he's a hero, and you got people think he's a zero, and he's paying a price, and will be paying a price for a long time. So this, you know, while he was acquitted, he's not really away scot-free, because everybody knows his name, and no matter where he goes, this is going to follow him. So we'll see what happens next week when the Arbery jury gets their verdict returned, and I think you're going to see a completely different. I watched the cross-examination by the prosecution in that case of the defendant, McMichael, and she did a masterful job, and their lawyers, the defense lawyers, were constantly being admonished by the court, and they were on the wrong side of the court every time. You never once saw that in this case. You never saw the defense lawyers being on the wrong side. You know, when you're in trial, you got a battle, right? And the adrenaline gets going, and you have to resist the temptation to demonize the lawyers on the other side. And especially when they try to do it to you, you get calm, cool, collected, and you let them dig their own hole. You don't dig your own hole. And that's what in the Arbery trial, that's what those defense lawyers did. So tune in next week, and we'll see what happens with the reaction. You know, maybe we'll do the same thing. Maybe we'll react in real time to the Arbery verdict. I love this shit. I've been, you know, at a courthouse. When you're sitting there, and you're told that the jury's got a verdict. Your palms are sweaty. Your heart is pumping, and it just seems like that time between when you're told that a jury verdict is coming and the jury actually comes into the courtroom. It just seems like that span of time is just forever, and it's so stressful. And I can remember times thinking, "Oh my God, am I going to have a heart attack?" Because you're just pounding. So, jury's verdict needs to be respected. I wish, you know, and it's sad that people had died during that event. Very sad, but I don't wish any ill will on Kyle Rittenhouse, and neither should you. We should all take a deep breath and fight the good fight. So we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.